Welcome back to the Sustainable Times Profit Meets Purpose podcast, where we speak to investors and founders. And of course, we unpack the founders building real businesses, supporting the sustainable economy, and of course, the investors that are backing it. Today, we're obviously joined by Charlie and Ollie, the founders of Foreva Farmers, a Herefordshire farm-to-glass drinks brand crafting premium mixers using spring water, carefully sourced botanicals, and sustainability model built around renewable energy and captured CO2. So Foreva Farmers won the consumer product category and the award at the Sustainable Times Rise Awards 2025. And in the next 25 minutes, we'll break down the product, the system, and of course the sustainability behind the business and what it takes to scale a consumer brand, and of course the fundraising journey behind the scenes. So welcome, guys.
Thanks very much. Yeah, good to be here.
So, just getting stuck into it immediately, explain Foreva Farmers in 12 words.
So, Foreva Farmers is a farm-to-glass drink made using renewable energy and renewable produced CO2.
And what is farm-to-glass? Can you define what farm-to-glass is? And what do you actually control end-to-end?
Yeah. So, farm-to-glass is just it's the engineering reality of how we operate. So we've created a system whereby we own all of the kind of sustainable fundamentals that would go into producing a drinks product. So we have mineral-rich water which comes from an aquifer beneath our fields. It's water that my granddad's been drinking for most of his adult life. He's 96 years old now, so it's kind of the ultimate proof of quality in the product itself. So we also produce all the power on the farm ourselves from the anaerobic digester. That's powered using crops we grow ourselves, so maize, ryegrass, wheat, heavy energy intensive products which then produce electricity which we sell to the national grid. We use it to run all of our production, and we also produce food grade CO2 from that process, and all of that food grade CO2 is used to carbonate the drinks that we produce. So outside the farm we source local ingredients where possible. We work with local farmers and local flavour houses to ensure that all of our ingredients are sourced sustainably, and there's low food miles associated with all of them.
So I would just add to that, although farm to glass sounds like a sort of linear process, it's actually part of our whole circular sustainable economy that we've built. So we're taking in byproducts from local producers, using them to produce our renewable building blocks that go into our drinks. Those go into 100% recyclable aluminium bottles, and then those end up back in our process getting filled with drinks again. So it's all part of a sustainable circular process that we're trying to create.
And how long's the farm been in the family? It's your family farm, right?
Yeah. So my grandfather, the 96-year-old, originally started farming where we are currently in 1965. So he began renting that ground from the church and eventually bought it later. Mm-hmm. My father was born in the house where we have our farm office. Mm-hmm. And then we started the major part of our sustainable journey in 2011 with the construction of the anaerobic digester. So through that we produce renewable electricity that goes into the grid, renewable methane that goes into the gas network, and food grade liquid CO2, and we used all of those products as well as the water that comes from our on-farm aquifer to supply the canning line that creates all of our drinks.
And what led you to install the anaerobic digestion in the first place? What was the intention behind that?
The reason for the original installation, that's a funny story actually, my dad should be here, he tells it better than me. But it came about from a meeting of potato growers. Mm-hmm. So he had a few farmers over that all grew potatoes, and he says they spent 5 minutes of the meeting talking about potatoes, and about 90 minutes of the meeting talking about anaerobic digestion. Mm-hmm. And it was a way to diversify, to keep farming sustainable, to allow our family business to continue to grow, and also a way that we could produce renewable resources, use what's around us to produce renewable energy, and eventually to produce a product that was all ours.
Mm-hmm. And who is the customer then? Who are you selling these products to at the moment?
It's kind of a trifecta of individuals currently. So The majority of the places which we supply, which have championed us initially, would be sustainably led on-trade venues, so bars, pubs, restaurants with kind of a premium angle who are looking for something different and innovative. So we produce the only aluminium bottles in the world for mixers, which they take. So they are a big backer of ours and have been since the start. Another large segment would be British farm shops, so purveyors of provenance and responsibility in sourcing and quality. So on-trade, premium venues and British farm shops have been our two biggest customers currently. And then we do a lot of direct business to consumers. That we've seen a huge uptick in consumers looking for sustainability led products, as kind of we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah. There's
Mass greenwashing which exists not only kind of in the wider sustainable ecosystem, but specifically for consumer based products. And it's very easy to make claims which aren't substantiated, and the claims we make are easy and clear to back up, and that's something which we see consumers demanding.
Yeah, I think fundamentally it's people who want more from their mixers, you know, who are looking for, whether that's a premium offering, whether it's sustainability, whether it's provenance that's easily identified and backed up. I think all those things are being looked at more and more by the consumer, and we're trying to offer as much of that as we can.
I mean, would you say that your key wedge then is the sustainability angle, or is it the taste? Obviously, your premium product, right, which means it's a premium price point, but I'm assuming anyway. So would you say the sustainability angle is the wedge, or is it the taste or the packaging? What would you say the key wedge is for you?
Sustainability is something which has got us in the door initially. I think unless we were to have a great tasting product, and we see, well, at least I see a lot of drinks products on the market which don't taste great, and I wouldn't buy them again. So it's incredibly important that when consumers try a product first, that they enjoy the taste, they think the taste is great, and then buy it again. We wanted to create what we thought would be a healthy luxury product, so one which not only tastes great, but it is good for you. So it's all natural, low calorie, lots of our products are low sugar, and that's not something we wanted to make a compromise on, and it's something we've seen lots of businesses compromise in the past, where they look for one USP and then disregard taste to push that USP. That was never something that we were willing to do.
Yeah. And how did this all come about? So your brothers.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
You know,
Unfortunately.
Why start a drinks brand from your Herefordshire farm? You know, what was the founding insight that really gave you the purpose to build this business?
I think it was, and Charlie will have some more to add to this, I'm sure, but it was the fact that we had these renewable resources we were creating, and essentially they were going out the door and being utilised by, you know, other businesses, other consumers, what have you. And it was desire to say, well, look, we can do something with this that's really special, that's directly connected to the production, and that will resonate with, you know, with consumers.
Yeah, I think what we saw and produced what we didn't want to be was an anonymous part of the supply chain. By producing raw materials like industrial CO2 and electricity, which we just sold to the national grid, we weren't able to directly see the impact that we were making in the market. By producing something which is actually tangible and you can see and can be sold directly to customers, we feel as though it's easier to make a change in the market, which we didn't necessarily feel was possible just through selling raw materials.
And what would you say the first proof point that made you believe that this could scale?
First proof point came from listings with wholesalers. So that would be Craft Drink, Mahalo, Crest, some of the largest wholesalers in the UK, supplying to some of the best venues in the UK. Prior to that, we entered into the market, I wouldn't say on a whim, but with the hope and belief that people would be wanting to consume a product which is better quality, better taste, better ingredients, and better for the planet. When we got those initial listings and we saw the sell-through rate and repeat purchase rate, that's when we knew we were onto something.
I mean, yeah, for me, and Charlie's been involved in these conversations a lot more than I have. But it was just the initial feedback. We'd reach out to someone, and they'd go, "Oh, we've been waiting for something like this," you know. So I think the soft drinks and mixers has taken a while to catch up to other sectors in terms of the focus on sustainability, and I think these buyers were keeping an eye out for something which hit those marks, fit those criteria, and it was just, as soon as we opened a conversation, it was, yeah, okay, we've been waiting for this product, for something like this to come along.
And how long did it take you to get listed then? Was it a quick process? Did it take a bit of time?
Yeah, so from initial outreach through to listing our product, it varies. Wholesalers work on specific dates throughout the year where they review their range. Some wholesalers liked us so much that they just forgot about those dates specifically, like, okay, we'll take you now, this is a product which is needed. So for the most part, between 3 and 6 months, and some are a lot quicker.
And what would you say the hardest thing people don't see when building a consumer product brand like yours?
The stress. People aren't worried of the stress. I think one thing which is kind of really difficult to visualize from an outside perspective is how much effort is put into every single aspect of the business. That especially when building something which has sustainability at its key and heart, every decision needs to reflect that kind of desire and ambition to ensure that it's kept central. So that's anything from ensuring all of our packaging is 100% recyclable. It's to choosing aluminium bottles over glass bottles because of the lower environmental footprint over its lifetime. Ensuring we don't use a specific type of foil on our products because it's not biodegradable. There are lots of decisions which take a significant amount of time, and whilst they may seem small to consumer, they take a lot of time to decide on.
And if we were to walk through the system and how the product is produced, you know, from the renewable energy, the captured CO2, the spring water, all the way through to the finished product, how does it actually work operationally?
So I'll take the renewable energy side of things. So that starts with our raw materials. So that is byproducts that we take in from local producers, high energy, high sugar raw materials, as well as some crops that come from our own farming operation as well. Those are broken down in the anaerobic digester, and as a byproduct, a biogas is produced. So that's a mixture of methane and CO2. We use that, some of that gets burned directly in an engine, and we produce enough electricity for about 3,500 homes. Some of it, then we separate the methane and the CO2. The methane gets injected into the grid, and then we siphon off some of that for the steam boiler on the canning line. And then the CO2 gets liquefied, and we produce about 15 tonnes of that a day. And a portion of that is piped directly to our carbonator on the canning line, where we carbonate our drinks.
So you're actually canning and bottling all in, not bottling, but canning in-house?
Oh yeah, it's all on the farm, and it's directly piped and cabled from our renewable process. Yeah, and then once it gets into the canning line, that's Charlie's responsibility.
Yeah,
don't worry then.
We are the only, just to take a step back, we're the only drinks brand in the world operating this way. We've searched high and low for other businesses, even using electricity that they produce themselves to make their drink, and we couldn't find many. And then taking it a step further and using CO2 that they produce themselves to make their drink we haven't seen anyone do that. For the ingredients part, lots of the ingredients we try and source locally. Honey comes from bees that we make on the farm. Bees we make? We don't make them. They're there on the farm.
The bees make the honey.
Yeah.
We use the honey.
Yeah. As we scale, we need to get more bees, so they need to get on it. But yeah, we use honey from the farm. The water, which is 98% of our product, comes directly from the farm. And then we work with specific flavour houses who are able to source products directly from British farms. And where we can't, like the quinine in a product which comes from South America, we work with them to ensure low emission fleet transport to get across the UK.
Okay, interesting. And what would you say your moat is then? Is it the supply chain control, which of course sounds like you've got a lot of the supply chain locally sourced? Is it the brand, the product, the distribution? Where is the moat in the product, do you feel?
The moat is the way in which we create our drinks and the story behind the farm, which is not replicable. So not only is there a significant capital cost to set up a canning facility in its own right, there is a significant barrier to drinks which come to the market to have a story which is as genuine and as authentic as ours. Typically when you start a drinks brand, the story comes second. You start a drink and then you think, okay, well, what story are you going to say about it? I went to this country and I saw these drinks and I thought this was good, so then this happened. But we had the story from the start, we had authenticity in our product, and we built a drink around that authentic story. And not only is that story not replicable, but there is also just a significant capital cost which comes with setting up a contract canning facility in itself.
I mean, yeah, it's the system that we have is the result of 3 generations of work over more than 60 years, and you need farm area, you need local agricultural businesses who can supply you with feedstock, you need space to put in canning line. It's not something which we manage. It's something which took us decades, and it's not something which any other business in the market, any other product in the market is going to be able to replicate.
And how scalable is that though?
Super scalable. So the water that comes from the farm, for example, we've been using to irrigate our land for the past 60, 70
and well
years.
before we came here, we were using it.
The canning facility that we currently have can produce around 30 million cans a year. The initial goal when we launched the business was to get Foreva Farmers to account for all that capacity. It's not the case, but
Not yet.
It will get there. And if we're producing 30 million cans a year for farmers, we can easily expand that again.
Where are you now? How many cans are you producing?
So for Foreva Farmers, we've probably produced around 500,000 cans, give or take. We do also can for other people. Some of the largest drinks brands in the UK who supply to the major supermarkets like Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Aldi.
Okay.
We can for all those individuals. So there's capacity there to scale, and we've got the capabilities and expertise in-house to scale when we need to.
And in terms of the renewables, the canning line currently uses less than 1% of the renewable resources we're generating.
Okay.
So the power, the methane and the CO2, we could go 100 times what we're doing now and not have saturated that capacity.
No, that's really interesting. And where do you win versus the incumbents in this industry? Where do you avoid competing head on? How do you think you win?
So we win by owning our own production facility. Lots of the incumbents, not only in the UK but Europe and the globe, rely on third-party manufacturers to produce their product. We have kind of dynamism within owning our own production facility, which means if we need to produce, we can produce. If we need to change the product or add additional flavours or recipes, we can do that, and we can really do that on the turn of a dime. Not only that, but we can ensure that there is sustainability in every step of that process. It's not something that an X-name brand can go to their manufacturer and say, we want this to happen at this stage, we want this to happen at this stage. It's something we've already incorporated into every aspect. And that's where we win.
And in terms of where we're not trying to compete, I think the main point is the price point. So it's we're looking for consumers who want more from what they're buying. Consumers are getting smarter about greenwashing, they're getting smarter about what they're putting into their bodies and what they're mixing with their drinks.
Sure.
And we're trying to find the consumers that want more from their mixers, want more from what they're buying. So we're not willing to compromise on our product in order to reduce the price. We want it to be premium quality, we want it to be as sustainable as it can possibly be, and we want to connect with the consumer that desires all those things as well.
I think that's a good segue on to what claims are you most confident about? Because there's so many sustainability claims out there. What are you most confident in disclosing or claiming, should we say? And what's one that you're maybe more careful with as well?
I think we're incredibly confident in our carbon neutrality.
Yeah, so I guess I can take this because I'm more familiar with the anaerobic digester process, but our we have to do emissions measurements. So every quarter we calculate how much CO2 has been emitted by the AD plant compared to traditional methods of electricity generation, no fossil fuels, etc. And we submit those, and those are verified by third parties, some of which include government bodies. Our emissions levels on the AD plant are actually negative. So our process takes in more CO2 than it releases, as in the process is a carbon sink. Now, that is so good that it's basically not seen in the market. So third parties at the moment don't certify carbon negativity, if you like. You can get people to certify that you're carbon neutral, but there's no one out there who'll say, oh yes, actually you're carbon negative at the moment. So, and it's also additionally then it's not something consumers are very familiar with. So we like to say, look, we're carbon neutral, we've got that absolutely covered. But when we start talking about carbon negativity, sometimes it can get a bit funny, like is negative bad or is negative good, so it's not something.
Is that why do you think no one's actually come up with some sort of certification because of that reason, or what's your opinion?
I mean, I would say just how rare it is. So for a process to take in more CO2, to reduce overall the level of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere, through an industrial process, outside of anaerobic digestion, it's basically unheard of.
Right.
And we only do it, so most anaerobic digestion even wouldn't be negative. The reason we are is because we capture all this food grade CO2, which even within the anaerobic digestion sector is quite rare. So I can give you a sort of figure off the top of my head. The amount of CO2 that we take in on the farm through this process, which is, as you can imagine, is on like a small section of the farm, is the same as if we covered our entire farm in mature woodland. As if it was trees removing CO2 from the atmosphere 24/7. That's the equivalent to how much we're removing with our AD plant.
Wow. And going on to the go-to-market strategy and how you're actually selling this, I know you said that you do direct-to-consumer and obviously wholesale versus on trade. What are you leaning into and why? Where are you getting the most amount of traction?
Our initial traction came through wholesalers. Untypically, we focused initially on distributors and going through distributors to sell our product. When drinks brands are kind of at their nascent stages, because they don't have distribution, they focus heavily on D2C and getting demand repeat purchase through there so they can then take it to distributors. Because we had initial confidence in our product from these distributors, our product went through there and we relied on word of mouth and the product alone to increase our rate of sales. That meant that we stayed within a certain segment of the market, and that is kind of the specialty market, premium food and drink venues. But it did mean that we were excluded to wider avenues or new customers that wouldn't necessarily frequent these places. Right now we have invested heavily in direct consumer. We've brought on a new videographer to kind of record and curate the brand feel and what we want to communicate to our customers. And we're just using that really as a marketing and sampling exercise so that when people do see us in stores, they're going to purchase our product and it'll drive sell-through rate.
Yeah, I mean, what we found is that when people understand what we're about, when they try the product, they come back for more. So now it's just get the product into their hands.
And what would you say the channels, what channel surprised you the most, the good or the bad, with regards to your go-to-market strategy?
What surprised me the most is the barriers which exist to getting into the on-trade. There are incumbents which exist within the market who shall remain unnamed, who give these companies and wholesalers a significant amount of cash just to be listed. There are listing fees which are just extraordinary, and you wouldn't believe. There's one example of a drinks brand I know who would pay £10,000 a day to be listed in a high-end cocktail bar in London. These aren't fees which we can afford, and these are fees which are expected in the market. So we're finding avenues to break into these on-trade wholesalers because we've already proven the rate of sale which exists, and we've proven that there's demand for the market. So if we were to be stocked there, then the product would fly.
And what would you say the brand strategy is in one sentence? I mean, what should customers feel when they take and they drink your product?
Customers should feel connected to our multi-generational family farm, and they should feel pride in the fact that they're consuming a product which is better for them and better for the environment.
And what are the sort of the unique economics of a product that you're producing? What sort of levers matters most and improve next in the next phase as you scale up?
So, by owning our own production facility, we can produce at a cost which other producers can't. There is obviously a premium that you pay when working with a manufacturer to produce your own product if you don't own the facility. We don't have to pay ourselves again to produce our own drinks. We just have to cover our costs, which means that we're able to come close to what incumbents do currently without the scale at which they're putting through the contract canning facility. So we would probably be able to match the unit cost of someone doing 50 times the volume that we're putting through currently. So we have a serious competitive advantage, not only over other startups, but over incumbents which currently exist.
Yeah, I mean, what it means is that at every stage as we grow, we've got that edge over competitors producing at similar levels, which is why we've been able to focus on the core principles of our brand without compromising. So why we can keep it sustainable, we can keep it premium, and we haven't had to neglect any of those factors to stay relevant in the market.
And what's the biggest constraint that you've got in the business right now, and what's your plan to remove it?
Biggest constraint is awareness. We know that when people are aware of our product, repeat purchase rate is high. So it's just making people aware of us. That's why we're heavily investing in D2C. That's why we've brought on a videographer and content strategist to grow our presence and make people know that we exist. Like we're a small brand. We've been around for a year and a half. People aren't aware of us, but when people do become aware of us, we kind of take precedent over existing brands within the market. There's a relatively low barrier to switching, and we've shown that.
Yeah. It's trying to find those people who are saying this is what we've been waiting for, and we'll say, yeah, we've got it. Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. And going on to your fundraising journey, so you guys haven't raised any external funding, right? So it's all been bootstrapped with, I'm assuming, your own capital.
Yeah.
Of course, you've installed this production facility on your family farm. Why did you go down that route to bootstrap compared to bringing in external funding?
We didn't need investment, and interestingly enough, I know most drinks brands, when they say it's super capital intensive. When you start a product-based business, you have to have a huge cash outlay before you even begin to sell. So you're always in the negative. What we have done and what we've been able to achieve by owning our own production facility and kind of funding this through our energy production facility and the CO2 that we use and that we sell, we've been able to keep, like we said, our costs low, meaning that we're going to reach profitability in the next 3-6 months. Drinks brands take 10 plus years to reach profitability, and it's something that we've done within 2 years, which is absolutely unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is that, like I said, Foreva Farmers accounts for, say, 1% of our renewable products that we're generating. Right, that means we've got 99%, which is still going into the grid, which is still going to other customers. As that balance, so we use that capital then is used to support Foreva Farmers. As the balance changes, Foreva Farmers becomes profitable. It's using more resources, but then it's generating money on its own. So because we've got such a high base in terms of our sustainable output, we can balance those two things to make sure that we're reaching profitability as soon as we can.
Excellent. And what do you need most right now? Is it distribution, partners, talent? What's one intro that could help you this week?
What we need is distribution. We have seen that when we're listed with partners that we actively replace incumbents on the market. We've seen this with wholesalers we're working with. They took us on, and within 6 months they replaced existing competitors in the market for us. So it's not a matter of will it sell if we get into the right places, it's getting into the right places and then it's selling. So if we were to have introductions from this, it would be those who sell to the on-trade, sell to the off-trade, who already sell to trade customers in general, who would like to see how fast our product sells.
Yeah, I mean it's connections in the market, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're farmers. I'm sort of more of an engineer. I run the anaerobic digestion side of things. We've just gone into canning. The world of consumer products and the world of soft drinks and mixes is very new to us, and we don't have the connections. We don't have the distribution network. So that's really the biggest thing that we are short on at the moment, I'd say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. And just to finish up, we're going to do a quick round where I ask basically a quick question. I just want your immediate response on that question, then we'll wrap up the show. But what's the hardest lesson that you guys have learned?
Pricing. Initially, we priced too low in the market, which wasn't reflective of our USPs. And when consumers see a product which is at price parity with another product, even if it's got all these USPs and is high quality, it's very difficult to see that unless the price is different.
Mm-hmm.
So we priced, initially when we launched into the market, we priced to match incumbents, which was the wrong thing to do and didn't reflect our processes.
Mm-hmm. And what's the weekly metric that you're focusing on right now?
Weekly metric is conversations had with interested parties. We just try and, at least I try and maximise those every single week. And it's because we are demand constrained currently, so ensuring that we're having these conversations is priority number one.
Yeah, having new conversations, putting out social media content, just trying to spread awareness about what we're doing.
What's the biggest earliest mistake you've made?
Earliest mistake we made, again, pricing too low. We tried to match others in the market, which was the completely wrong thing to do.
Mm-hmm. The best advice you've got, the best advice that you have got?
Keep everything in house where possible. Don't outsource to agencies because they don't care as much about your product as you do.
Yeah, don't outsource until you know that you have the expertise to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give someone a job until you can tell whether they're doing a good one.
Excellent. Well, Ollie, Charlie, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll include the notes to Foreva Farmers on the socials. You guys are on Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram, TikTok,
yep. All the usual platforms.
All the usual.
Charlie's very big on LinkedIn, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so follow Charlie Layton on LinkedIn.
So we'll make sure that we hook up all the links in the description. But thank you so much for your time and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.